We got about 7 inches of snow, maybe slightly more. I don't know, it's hard to tell. The snow was finally melted. Got a little bit here on the ground. And it is clear up to 55 degrees a day, which I can't believe considering, you know, we had snow just a couple days ago. Sun's out already, so I gotta get back on this. I finished the front mounts in a different video. They may not be finished actually. I'm actually considering putting a cross brace from up top down. I don't know, it has 1-inch plate, but at that length, there's still part of me that's kind of worried they're just gonna like fall over or something. The bowl really can't go side to side, but there's still a part of me that's fearing that those tall towers will just collapse. I don't know, they shouldn't. But on the other hand, nothing too strong ever broke, right? So adding a little brace up there I think might be the wise thing to do. My rambling on that was I've been working on the front mounts for a few weeks now in my spare time, not like 40 hours a week by any means in those last few weeks. But I'm getting back on the rear here, and right now I need to start doing the line boring and machining and fixing this back assembly thing here. So right now I'm going to crawl in there with the hand grinder, and I got to cut off these ugly plates that are on there. And then we'll take a look at it and see what I need to do to get it bored out and put in bushings. And if you ever decide to repair a bore, please do not add a plate on like this. If you don't repair the bore that the pin is in, adding this plate does nothing. It just makes whoever has to repair it the correct way do a lot more work. I have succeeded in getting the plates off of those old bores. They were actually not welded on very good, so that was a lot easier to remove them than I thought. And for some reason, I don't know what this is about, there are torch marks above that hole right there. And the weld was actually above that. I think you can see the weld line. I probably can't point because I'm zoomed in. Anyway, the weld line is up above, up there, and then the torch marks are down here. Maybe this is like the second or third time they put a plate on that and tried to, you know, bush up those terribly not round holes. Them things are terrible. It's going to take some pretty big bushings to fix them. Also got that plate removed and cleaned up, and they had welded on the keeper for this pin for that roller. So I ended up just cutting the spot they had welded on off, cutting it off, whatever. But I could not get that pin to move at all. It is frozen in there. And I've got to get that pin out because that roller needs some serious work, if not just completely replaced. Not sure what's going on in there. That roller goes up and hits the bottom of the bowl here because this floor dumps out is how this thing works. It doesn't have a, you know, push forward ejector like most scrapers. The floor dumps out forward. So I gotta make sure that roller's in good shape because it hits the pile of strap iron right there, those flat bars, which I assume they put all those on because the roller was getting wore out. And also, if you noticed right down in here, the roller apparently hits that cross member. So I'm not sure what's going on there. That kind of bugs me. So next I need to set up my line board machine and start boring this out. That's going to be a lot of metal removal, isn't it? But that's okay. I don't mind line boring. I actually really enjoy it. So this here is an 1 3/4 shaft. And this pin that was in here was 1 3/4. And as you can see, there's a lot of slop to that. So this is my 2.5 inch diameter centering cone for my line boring machine. And well, it's kind of hard to tell. Got my head in the way there, but going to draw a line around it. I don't know if that'll show up on camera with the silver streak pen or not. Hard to see against that silver. But if I just touch this edge of the hole, I'll still be cutting just a little bit out back here. So yeah, I really need to bore a 2.5 inch hole through that in order to make that work. And hopefully I can figure out how to get this set up, because I don't know if my cones will line up in there. There's really nothing for them to catch on. We're just gonna have to do some measuring, I guess. So let's get the line boring machine set up. I am using my homemade line boring setup. It's kind of, well, it's not a finished project by any means. This is something I slapped together years ago because I had a line boring project I had to do, and I never have finished making this machine the way I want it. So it's easy to use and easy to set up and as a finished product. But anyway, it still works. That's all that matters, right? Nope, nope. That thing is loose. Son of a gun. Yep. Centered here. There we go. Yeah, these cones are not working for this. Oofed. Does. I don't know if I can measure with this thing at all. 4.5 exactly. 4.5 exactly. Really? Well, tape measure says it's right for whatever that's worth. Alright, put my bearing on. After I get that all set up. Put this bearing on. Maybe. There we go. Okay. And then I need some spacers that are. Yeah, like some 3-inch spacers would be good on that. Alright. We'll go find some spacers now. I am just going to use some 7014 with my little stick welder here to tack weld these standoffs in place. The main reason for that is it's a little bit breezy today, and just enough that I think it would blow my gas away from the MIG welder. And I want to try out this little stick welder and see if it's any good. So I've been impressed with it so far. Well, this kind of gives you an overview of the line boring machine all set up. As you can tell, it is definitely a homemade setup. Nothing professional looking about it at all. One of these days, right? I'll get it all pretty. But anyway, just runs off the power pack down here. People often ask me what that is, and it's a 3/4 horse motor with a 1 gallon per minute pump. Although I think it's actually under 1 gallon per minute. I think it's more like probably 3/4 gallon per minute. It's not quite as fast as advertised, but I don't know. I don't know the history of that power pack. It's something my grandpa got at an auction. He thought I could use it. Paid 20 bucks for it. Definitely worth every bit of 20 bucks, right? But yeah, just a 110 volt unit, and I really want a 110 volt unit just for portability and be able to take it different places. So for a lot of what I do, it works great. I'm actually working on building another one. I have the pump now, and I've got a 3-horse electric motor. Obviously that's 220, so I'm planning on putting a bigger unit together here. And the pump I got is a variable displacement piston pump, so that way I can control the speed and the direction of my motor on my line boring unit here. Alright, I've made a couple of modifications here. I've added a C-clamp, just because that sticking out so far from there, it kind of flexes in and out. So that C-clamp supports that end, keeps it from wobbling. And then I put a spring in here, because what's going on, I think, is as the bit engages, it's actually pulling itself in. I don't have back pressure, I don't have tool pressure, it's actually digging in. That makes sense. I'm in a lot less trouble if I put my hand on that piece and push it back. So we're gonna try this, and I'll see if I can film it at all. Pretty hard metal though. We're down to the interrupt cut. There we go. I almost think where they put those welds on, harden this metal. There we go. Now we're cutting. Nice chips. Shooting out of there. Hope the frame rate's high enough on the camera here to see the chips fly out of there. They're singing everywhere. Let's grab one here. There's the chips I'm getting. Things are shooting all over the ground. A bunch of them there and there. There. More raining down. This is working awesome. Wow, that thing's magnetic. Woof. Okay, I just finished up that pass. I think on this side right in here, it's still not cutting, like from there to there maybe. So we're definitely still doing an interrupted cut, but pretty good finish. I'm very happy with that. Just need to pull my bit out a little bit more and see if we can finish that up and get a full 2.5 inch circle there. Well, back on this back side, there's a weld. I don't know if I can show it to you or not. Yeah, can you see it right there? Right above the bar. That's where they had this plate that was on here, welded on. That's where the bead went. And it has made this metal very hard. And I just broke the end off my bit here. That's quite the interesting break. So I'm going to go grind on that a little bit. I'll be back. I wanted to show you real quick here that if you want to measure the inside of this bore and you don't have special tooling, you know, to one of those little things that fit in where the bit goes and all that stuff, you can bend yourself a pair of calipers, old spring calipers like this. I heated them up, bent them, and then quenched them. So should be hard again, but I don't know if they need to be quenched. But you can stick them right in there. They go around the boring bar that way. And then you can, you know, measure them. It's a little tight. All right, that neighborhood. Not 100% sure it's a good reading since I'm trying to reach around the camera and squatting down and everything else here, but let's see what that is. Just out of curiosity, I'm shooting for 2.5. Yep, 2.545. That is not bad considering I literally did that by eyeball. You know, I just set that 2.5 inch piece up here, my cone, and drew around it with the silver streak pen, and then set this bit according to that. That's all I did. So 45 thousandths off for using a silver streak pen. I'm very, very happy with that result. I'm making bushings to fit these holes, so I don't really care what they are. I just wanted something close to 2.5. All right, let's go do the other bore. I've been debating how I want to build these bushings. What I'm going to try first is just machining the piece on the end of my slug here. Otherwise, I think I'd have to bore it out, then set it up on a mandrel, and then machine the outside down to size. And I currently don't have a mandrel made for 1.5 inch shaft, which will be the inside hole, be 1.5 inches. So Got it. I'm thinking this will be the easiest. So I need to write down my order of operations real quick, but I'm going to face this off. And then center drill it. Then I want to machine the outside down to size. That way I can be held in the center. And then I'm going to make the bore. So I'm going to start out with my 7/8 drill bit. And that's right, start out with that. I don't believe in starting with like a 3/8 bit or something for a small pilot hole. This 7/8 bit, while it looks like it's a little dull, needs some touch up, it should blast right through that. So I'm going to start out at 7/8 and I'll go up from there. I'll probably go 7/8 and I think I've got 1.25 inches maybe. I can't remember what my biggest one is. I have to go look. And then I'll start boring it out. Yep. That's nice. Doesn't get too much better than that, does it? I am going to stick weld these bushings in. I actually even debated about welding these in, but the design of pin that I'm going to use for this is actually going to have a nut on the end. So that means I'll be tightening up and putting pressure inward on those bushings. So I need to go ahead and weld them in. And I'm going to stick weld them instead of MIG weld them because I'm just a little bit better at out of position welding with a stick welder. And also we've got some pretty good gusts of wind coming through today. I think we are supposed to hit like 40-mile-an-hour wind gust today. So nothing's more aggravating than being right in the middle of a weld and the wind gust comes along and blows your gas out of the way. And you gotta stop and grind it and start all over again. So I'm just gonna stick weld it. It's just gonna be a lot easier for this process. But I would much rather be MIG welding because it's always faster. Well, not really sure what I think about the welds from that machine. It's not a real smooth welding machine. It's kind of choppy, I guess would be the word. But I mean, this section here doesn't look too bad at all. A little bit of undercutting on it, but I was running a little bit warm just because I was having trouble getting the arc started and maintaining an arc. So, I don't know. I don't know. Looks crappier on camera than it does in person, I think. They're not bad welds. They're definitely not the type of welds I make when I'm using my Lincoln pipeliner on my welding truck, but it's not bad. This big old blob right here is where I made a couple extra passes, because as you can see right there, that's where they had torched it, and there's a big divot. So there's a lot of weld filling up that hole. Anyway, that's my welds up close. Well, that's going to end this video, because next we'll get back to setting the cylinder in place. But I just wanted to show the line boring and the bore repair in its own little video here. So hope you enjoyed it, and be sure to go watch the next part of the video of putting this rear cylinder in. Oh, and that reminds me, in case you found this video first, there's a video on doing the front mounts on this scraper too. So there's a few videos to watch on this scraper.